We're gonna go over this Deeno X1500 power station. Deeno was nice enough to send this out to me. That in no way changes my review of it, but I wanna go through all the different features that this system has because they're trying to help people understand that this unit will help them with saving electricity on their power bill, having backup power when they need it the most, to run all sorts of things. And I wanna put all of that to the test and really scrutinize to see if that is possible. This has the potential to do it because it has a 1500 watt inverter and a lithium iron phosphate battery and lots of great features, but we will find out for sure if it really can do as advertised in this video. My name is Ben, this is the Minuteman Prep YouTube channel. You can tell I test a lot of this type of equipment as well as other emergency preparedness devices, and I love emergency preparedness and just being ready for everyday things. I truly believe in self-rescue and being ready to be able to help yourself before you have to ask help from others. So anyway, I want to go ahead and test out this unit to see how well it works. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So first thing is, you can see that these handles are spring-loaded. It's supposed to make it easier for carrying. I find it's the exact opposite. I really wish that this was just fused. They could have saved a couple of bucks in having these pieces here, and it would just be nicer because then it's more compact, easy to grab, and when I pick it up, there's kind of this jolt here that I'm not expecting. So I don't like the spring-loaded handles. It's just personal preference. You may like it. It does have a 1500 watt pure sine wave inverter that does peak up to 3000 watts. That part is actually pretty impressive. This is actually capable of running my off-grid fuel pump. So in the event of an emergency, we have fuel tanks that we keep on hand full of gasoline and diesel for our vehicles. And I don't keep those connected to my house because then if the grid is down, then I can't run them unless I'm powering my whole house to power my electrical panel to power the fuel pumps. So I have them as just able to be plugged in so I can use them from something like this. And this is strong enough to run that. So that is definitely a positive for this, is it can run heavy loads that even have a high inrush. Now it is a lithium iron phosphate battery. It does come with all these accessories right here. So we do have a DC 7909, also known as an 8mm barrel port to MC4 adapter. Looks to be about 6 to 10 feet right there. We have a car charger right here. And then we have the wall charger right here, which is rated to 201.6 watts of charging speed. And then we have the user manual. Now the battery on this is 1036 watt hours, and because it's lithium iron phosphate, you're gonna get easily 3500 cycles out of this before it reaches 80% efficiency. What that means is you could drain this from 100% down to 0%, back up to 100% for 10 years, and you're still gonna have at least 80% efficiency as compared to how it was when it first came out of the box. Now, what really impressed me with Deeno on this is it comes with a 5-year warranty. That is an extremely long warranty for these power stations, and so I really am glad to see solar generator companies, power station companies extending their warranties, because you just never know when you're gonna have an issue with these systems. Now, most of the time these work without any problems, and I haven't had a problem with this unit at all. There's been no issues with it having any faults, but it's always comforting to know that if anything happens in the next 5 years, I can have this replaced or fixed for free. Now, I don't like having these big power adapter bricks. That is a negative for me because then I have to carry this around with me if I need it the most. I really prefer when those adapter bricks are pretty much built in and they just use a normal cable like this for power, but that's not the case with this Deeno unit. Now the screen doesn't stay on, which is another nitpicky thing for me. I talk about that with pretty much all the units. I really prefer the screen to stay on. Now it makes sense for it to turn off because even a screen like this, especially because it's outdoor rated, it's designed to be able to be read easily when outdoors. It's pretty bright at night. If it's the only thing on in the room, you'll be able to use it like a night light in the room. It is fairly bright. But for me, I prefer the option to either turn it on or turn it off. And you have that with using this button here. So why not just leave it on and then have the user determine if they want to keep it on or off. Now it's an LED display and there is an LED light on the back here as well. There are multiple different settings between low, medium, high, and I believe there's an SOS. But I'm not sure how to turn on the SOS setting. I do like that the light is on the back. I don't like it when the lights are on the front. I don't really use the lights on these power stations very often, but when they are on them, I prefer them to be on the back because it can shine up against a wall and illuminate a large area very easily, and it's not shining directly in my eyes. Now, one thing that really confused me that Deeno advertises with this is that it can save on your electricity bills. I don't know how they mean that. The only way it could truly save on your electricity bills is if you were running a refrigerator, which a refrigerator wouldn't even work. It would have to be something that you use intermittently, but not for an extended period of time. But if that's the case, then any little power station could probably run it. The point is, they say you can save money by using this, but you'd only be able to do that while you're charging with solar panels and then running equipment off of it. And we're going to get into the solar charging here in a second, but I don't think it has enough solar input to truly save on your electricity bill. And then you'd have to select what you want to run on it, so that way it's not running on your house power to save on the electricity bill. So it's just a little confusing that they advertise that. The only way you can do that is by having a solar panel connected to this, and then whatever this is running is able to run continuously every day while this recharges from the solar panel. So that's a little confusing. Now let's go ahead and jump into the solar charging of this. I was pretty surprised by how it worked. Here on the Deeno, I have a 200 watt solar panel connected to it. The charge parameter is 12 to 32 volts and up to 8 amps. Now these 200 watt panels that I've got connected, I have verified today, have actually been making more than 200 watts, but the limitation here is going to be the 8 amps. So what I can see here is that volts times amps equals watts. We're going to be maxing out the amps, which means if we take 134 watts and divide it by 8 amps, we're getting almost 17 volts in, which is pretty typical for these panels. They're 12 volt panels, and that's pretty normal to have an operating range anywhere from like 16 to 22 volts, depending on the panel. So this is supposed to allow for 200 watts input, but the best I can get is 133 watts. And that's with the perfect winter conditions where the solar panel is cold, there are no obstructions in the sky, and it is perfectly perpendicular to the sun. That is the ideal condition, and I can only get 134 watts. So that is a letdown for me that it's not even getting close to the 200 watt rating. Now, one thing that they did do well is they used a DC 7909 or 8mm to MC4 adapter, but it's still a low power adapter. In the user manual here, it says it's supposed to be able to get 200 watts input, and we connected a 200 watt panel to this, and that panel was making more than 200 watts on other units, and it was not even close to 200 watts on this. So that was really frustrating for me because you literally can't recharge this in a single day, even if you didn't have a load on it. If this were at 0% and you connected a 200 watt panel, you can't get 200 watts in order to recharge it in about 5 or 6 hours and then be able to continue running something else. So it's not really possible to use this in an emergency situation. You would basically just be dependent on the battery and then extending your battery runtime by offsetting the power usage a little bit with the solar panel. So that was a huge letdown for me. I would have liked to have seen at least 400 watts of solar input on this, preferably 500 watts or more, because you want to be able to depend on these systems when you need them the most. And so for that reason, I'm not going to be able to recommend this unit. It has a great inverter and it has a great easy to read screen, even though it does shut off. I do like that the screen is easily readable outdoors. It is portable enough that it's easy to put in a vehicle. I don't like the handles, but the solar input's going to kill it for me, and that's really unfortunate. So I'm not going to be able to recommend this unit. It is cool that it has lithium iron phosphate batteries, and if you are interested in getting it, if you do know of a way this would work for your situation, then I'll try to have links down below with any coupon code so you can save money. But overall, that's my review. Those are my results. For units of similar size, there are probably other units of a similar price that have better specs, and so I would choose something else to go with. Overall, that's it. Remember to prepare for self-rescue, and I'll see you guys in the next video.